people are doing. So, oh yes, the OnePlus 12's review. I know it took a while, but we are finally here. Now, the question in the title is very simple. Does the OnePlus 12 sacrifice function for style? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find the answers to, so let's jump right in. And no, I'm not going to start with the design because that's usually how I go, but I think we should start at the very beginning. The moment you purchase the OnePlus 12, you get the box, which, let's face it is bright red. It's a beautiful red. And yes, I get it, it's been like that forever. But still, it is something that stands out immediately and it feels very bold and stylish. So I think it's fair to say that OnePlus is already ahead in the style options there. And the best, most beautiful, gorgeous part about this whole unboxing situation is that you lose out on no functionality. If anything, you get more than what you're literally paying for, because you can pay way more. You can pay double the amount of money and you would get just a smartphone and maybe a cable if you're lucky. With the OnePlus 12, you get one of the fastest chargers, you get a red cable which goes with the theme of OnePlus. It just makes me think, why is it that so many more smartphones which are so ridiculously more expensive, they can't include even a basic charger? I don't expect a 100-watt charger. Give me a basic charger at the very least. I'm not going to use it, but it makes me happy. And I'm pretty sure it makes many other people happy to actually have an unboxing experience. Which, again, a smartphone at this price provides that. That's the thing. Why can't smartphones that cost double this much money do that? I don't know. Well, anyways, this is a review, not a rant. So I think that the unboxing experience, fair to say, it does not sacrifice any functionality. If anything, gives you more than you bargained for. Now, of course, right after you unbox it, you get the phone itself. This baby greets you, and if it doesn't light up your eyes, I don't know what can. Because man, it is gorgeous. Simply put, this is the finish that everyone should go for. Even for someone who absolutely adores matte black more than life itself. Even I would go for this finish. It's why I went for this finish. And well, it's a simple reason, This thing, it looks so iconic. It's a finish that also embodies this pattern, that marble finish that we get. I wish we had the same marble finish with the black as well, but they kept that simple. And to be honest, with just how insanely good this camera module looks, the style is just off the charts. It is through the roof. And when I think about many other smartphones that are priced so much more than the OnePlus 12, it just makes me appreciate OnePlus for putting so much thought into the design. They didn't really have to, but they do. And look, functionality wise, you're not actually losing out on anything, because the smudge and fingerprint resistance, or rather the immunity that this bloody phone has, is way better than many other smartphones that are priced significantly higher than this. I'm talking about the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Both of those phones can get fingerprints and smudges, even the lighter colors. This one does not. Now, functionality wise, I do think there is something I should point out. The camera module. Yes, the camera module looks like $1 billion, but still, it has this glossy railing, which is fine. I don't really see too many fingerprints or smudges on the thin railing, but it also merges into the camera module, which looks absolutely stunning. But because it's glossy, you can get some fingerprints and smudges on the glossy portions, because your fingers will automatically kind of rest along that place, and it can happen. It has happened to me. Does it bother me beyond belief? No, not really, but it is something I noticed, so I thought you should know as well. But then the front, you see, this is where things get very interesting and very subjective. I want to emphasize that bloody point very much. Personal opinions will play a pretty significant role, and I say that because I love curved displays. Simple as that. I cannot stand the flat displays and the lack of premium look and the premiumness that we get. Is that even a word? I don't know. But the point is this: when I hold this phone, it immediately feels more premium. It looks more premium than any flat screen device that I've used, including the S24 Ultra, just for reference. The palm rejection issues, it could be there. I haven't really faced anything egregious enough for me to really remember it being an issue. But yes, there can be issues with curved displays. That's an inherent problem. It's why many smartphones are opting to go for minimal curves or just removing the curves altogether. It's for the sake of functionality. But for me at least, the curved displays look so much better that it's not even a question. But you see, there is a little issue that I do want to point out. The curves and the edges, they look nice and all. But you see, the corners, especially the upper two corners, have thicker bezels than the rest of the device, which it feels odd. It looks very weird, and you get used to it. I got used to it, and it's just something that makes me feel like it's lacking a bit of polish. I think that's the best way to put it. Now, I'm not entirely sure about the reasoning behind it. Could be a technical problem or something else entirely. I don't really know, but I do know that the problem exists, and it could be very well something that bothers you from high heaven to hell, or it could be something that you don't even notice on a regular basis. Could be either, but it's important that you know. But of course, as usual, since we're already on the front, let's talk about that beautiful display. It is a beautiful display, no question about it. Style-wise, I don't think there's anything all that special. You might be thinking, well, what about the brightness? We'll get to that. The fact is this phone's display is about as good, if not better, maybe, in some ways, as opposed to any other flagship display that you can get. It's just simple as that. And the reason it's such a massive bonus on this phone is because it's not even priced close to a real flagship, so that already puts it ahead of the game. But then you also get something special like Dolby Vision. And just for reference again, the S24 Ultra, which is supposed to have the best possible display from Samsung, it doesn't have Dolby Vision. And to be honest, I love Dolby Vision because I watch a lot of Netflix, and on Netflix, almost everything that comes out now is probably gonna have Dolby Vision, one way or the other. And Dolby Vision is significantly better than any regular HDR10 can look. Now, since we are in HDR, let's talk about that brightness, which we have 4500 nits of brightness on this thing. Look, that's great and all, but I don't see it. Like, I don't see the difference between many other flagships that we have lying around, like the Vivo X100 Pro, the S24 Ultra, the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Those are the three major flagships that I have. This phone is supposed to be brighter than all of them by a fair margin, but somehow I just don't see it being exceptionally brighter. It doesn't feel like the numbers are really translating into reality. That's kind of my thing, which bothers me a little because usually that's not how things are supposed to be, especially when it comes to brightness and stuff like that. When you think about the numbers, you might expect it to be way brighter than, let's say again for reference, the S24 Ultra, which has 2600 nits of brightness. This has 4500. You would expect this phone to be significantly brighter. It's really not. I've looked at the display side by side in sunlight with maximum brightness and all that jazz, but I don't really see enough of a difference. Now, all in all, the display really does not sacrifice any real functionality. If anything, it gives you more than, again, what you're paying for, because it can also really lower the flickering problems that you get when you really lower the brightness all the way down. Now, I don't really use it with such low brightness at night. I'm usually having my eyes closed during those hours, but well, regardless, what I can tell you is this: the display is absolutely phenomenal. Every moment that I used it, I had no problems whatsoever. Now, the software plays a massive role in the display itself. We will get to software in a moment, but before that, I do want to talk about the performance and battery life, which, let's face it, I don't think I can really drive home the point well enough just how well this thing performs. To be honest, it's not just smooth, it's also very slick. I guess that's the best way to put it into one word, because the animations have been made in such a way that you feel like you're blazing through things. Even when you're just switching around, you're just multitasking, it feels like I'm blazing through. That feeling does not exist when I'm using other devices. It's hard to tell exactly what it is, to pinpoint the reasoning behind that feeling, but it does exist for me, and I'm pretty sure that if you were to use this, you're gonna feel the same. I think it's just with the speed of the animation and the general smoothness that comes with it. It of course requires both a good processor, which this thing has, and very good optimization, which again this thing has. Hell, I haven't had any heating issues either. There are often times when I'm making camera comparisons, that's when I usually get these problems, because we are out there shooting a bunch of videos like 4K 30, then with the ultrawide camera, then 4K 60, then 8K, and then super stable, one after the other for a fair bit of time. And I'm out there in the scorching sun, I'm sweating bullets, but this thing has no problems whatsoever. And that was very impressive for me, because a lot of times I can literally feel the phone warming up in my hands. That really didn't happen with the OnePlus 12. Now, I'm not exactly sure why it didn't happen. I'm not exactly sure if it's software optimization or the hardware has gotten that much better, but I do know that it is really good now. And you know, OnePlus, I'm telling you, man, they have done an exceptional job with this device. This is their absolute best, as it should be, but it's also significantly better than what you might expect, especially with this price point. Even though you know about the track record of OnePlus, you would not expect it to be this good. It's kind of like that. Same story with the battery life. The standby on this thing is insane. Like, I'm telling you, this has like iPhone's level of standby. That's how good it is. Just to really prove my point, I kept a bloody screenshot of this because it was so impressive to me at the time. So I forgot to charge the phone the previous day. I didn't really use it all that much. As you can see, we just have 5 hours of screen on time, but look at just how long the phone has been without charge. 1 day 12 hours, that's essentially 2 full days. And I still had 22% left. Which, that really goes to show that if you have fairly light usage, let's just say you're not using the camera all that much, you're mostly just surfing around on social media, maybe you're using messaging and all that jazz a lot, then you can actually use this phone for 2 full days. Many other phones, significantly more expensive flagships, again, they can't do that. They just cannot. And that right there, beyond impressive for me. Now, does the phone have problems? Of course, we'll get to it. But first, let's talk about one last incredible thing, the software itself. No, I'm not talking about the optimization, all that jazz. I already did talk about it. I'm talking about the customizations that we get. Those things there's some serious ingenuity here. Look, all you have to do is go to settings and then go over to wallpaper and style. The amount of options that you have in there, it's ludicrous, I tell you, because damn, let me show you. I don't have to do anything yet. Just go to wallpapers and check out the live wallpaper stock that you have. There are phones out there that will give you a few live wallpapers, let's say 4, 5, 6. This thing is filled to the brim, and the beautiful thing is this, it gives you a lot of the live wallpapers that we had in previous generation devices, which were already nice, and now they just work with the newer devices, new generation devices as well. It's something that many other smartphones just don't do, which is, it's odd, but that's just the way it is. And I really like good stock live wallpapers because they work really well. And I mean, you can probably tell, right? The animations are so slick. See, this is where the style really comes into play. Don't like live wallpapers, fine. You also have a lot of static options, fairly good ones. But if you really want to play around with the wallpapers, then you can go over to Workshop, because there you can essentially select any kind of image that you might have, any kind of photograph that you might have taken, and it will analyze the colors and produce a set of wallpapers. Some of them will be graphic, some of them will be these crazy abstract like wallpapers. It works really well, and for me it's absolutely phenomenal. I think having this kind of customization is what makes me enjoy Android devices in general, and the OnePlus, it does not disappoint. Oh, but we're not done yet, because we have the always on display. Now, I know always on display might not be something that you care all that much about, but trust me, after you see this, you might. The amount of options that you have, it's insane. It's off the charts. No question about that. A lot of phones do provide that, but something that I've never seen on any other device is something called the custom pattern. And this thing is honestly insane. It satisfies a certain itch that I have for customizability in such a vehemently satisfying way that I can't even imagine it being anything else. I can't put it into words just how good it feels to have an always on display that you can literally craft with your own fingers. You can see for yourself, right, just how easy it is to make these patterns. Anything can be done. It's beautiful and you can do it however you want. Yeah, I couldn't ask for more. You have other options in here as well. You can change up the color themes. You got this edge lighting feature, which it works well, but I would have liked some more customization, some more options in there maybe. Now, there is one little problem that I have, the icons. The customization that we have with the icon is good enough. You can change up the shape, you can change up the name size as well. All that stuff is good, but we don't have a circle icon option. The issue is this, what bothers me is that the squircles look fine, they look nice and all, but I kind of distinctly remember the OnePlus 8 Pro or the 9 Pro having a circle icon option, and we don't get that now, which is just odd to even think about. You also have a lot of fingerprint icon animations, which I do like. I always like having some kind of options in there. Now, talking about the fingerprint, of course, it's fast, it's accurate, it's about as good as almost any other fingerprint scanner that you have right now. Now that we have finally reached the cameras. So, simply put, the cameras are something that I feel they're not horrible, they are not going to cause the downfall of this device, no. But I do think that it is the spot where it falters. Definitely it falters. So let's break it down, shall we? So first and foremost, we have the regular photos. They're good. They're nice and all. No, obviously they don't quite have the level of versatility that we get from something like the Vivo X100 Pro. because we don't have something like Zeiss natural colors. The color profile in general is very natural. You do get a vivid filter option in the camera app. Honestly, I don't really like vivid colors in general, so for me the natural colors are good, but again, they're not quite as natural as, let's say, Zeiss natural colors can be on the X100 Pro, just for reference. They're good though, it's not a problem. But the problem that I do have is with the, I'm not entirely sure if it's an optimization problem or it's a hardware problem, but the main and the ultra-wide camera, they need to be upgraded one way or the other. There's no two ways about it, because let's just say that the quality of the shots that you get from the main and the ultra-wide, they're good, but I've seen so much better from similar megapixel count sensors that it just makes me think that if the sensor quality can be improved upon, or if the software optimization can be improved upon, or if both of them can be done, then this phone could reach limits that haven't been seen before. And I say this even more so because the 3x zoom sensor that we have, it's a periscope zoom for 3x, which is the first time I think I'm seeing for a 3x periscope being used for 3x. But regardless, it's a 64 megapixel sensor that is probably the highest quality 3x sensor that we have. So my question is this: if the 3x can be this good, why not the main and ultra wide, which arguably people will end up using way more than the 3x? And then there's also the whole 2x sensor crop option that we get. You see, the 2x sensor crop just doesn't work on this phone, which is very unfortunate because many other flagships, many other smartphones in general, they all come with 2x sensor crop, and most of them are very, very good. Now then, we gotta talk about the human side of things. So, human subjects in general, they can be kinda nice, especially with the rear cameras like portraits and stuff like that. They're good, but they're not exceptional, they're not perfect, to say the very least. The selfies is where OnePlus really needs an upgrade, simple as that. They really need to like put some extra bit of work and time and effort into making the selfies just more optimized in general. It's definitely an area where many other smartphones have really taken many leaps forward, but the OnePlus has been left behind. And then when it comes to night mode, I think the night mode is very interesting. It's going to be very subjective as well, because OnePlus smartphones in general, they have never been big on long exposures. Like, they will always take either one, if it's too dark, then maybe a 2-second exposure. 3 seconds is one of the rarest exposure times that I've ever seen on a OnePlus device. It's just like that. The thing is this: in general, OnePlus night shots will always be fairly dark. It'll resemble the nighttime look very well, which I personally think is really nice. I really like those types of shots, but you might not. So it's important for you to know that if you really want good, very high exposure night shots, and all you care about is the exposure and realistic shadow detail to really be brought out, that's not how this camera works. Simple as that. Now videos, you see, it's good, but again, it could be a little bit better. It's kind of the same story through and through with the cameras in general. But with videos, what I've noticed is that the quality is fine. It maybe lacks a little bit of detail, again, probably because of the main and the ultra wide not being particularly high quality in the hardware department. But there's also this kind of over brightening issue, overexposing issue sometimes that I've noticed, especially when I compare it against the X100 Pro. I noticed that the video from the OnePlus was in general way brighter, and it ended up giving a very flat result. They could also give us Quad HD Super Stable. Now, speaking of Super Stable, actually, you should only use the main camera. The ultra wide Super Stable doesn't really work, at the moment at least, because you lose out on both quality and stabilization, which is weird, because with ultra wide you want more stabilization and you're sacrificing quality for it. That's not what happens with the OnePlus 12. And then we have 8K. That is where the OnePlus really needs a good upgrade. I feel like it's something to do with software optimization, because we have smartphones out right now that can produce really well stabilized 8K video, but we don't get that with the OnePlus 12, and that just immediately makes it not as viable with 8K. Is the camera something that OnePlus can improve upon in many significant areas? Yes. Is it going to be something that makes you feel like you're using an inferior device? Not really, because every smartphone has some of the other kind of problem. This phone is not meant to be a camera device. I do want to make that very clear. This phone is something that is supposed to provide you with basically every necessary feature that you can possibly hope for. And I know that includes the cameras as well, but every flagship feature is already built in. If anything at all, many of the flagship features are even more improved on this one. There are optimizations that have been done in ways that just make it such a pleasure to use. But yes, the cameras are definitely something that need improvement. It is definitely something that I feel OnePlus could work on, and maybe with the OnePlus 13 or the OnePlus 14 that might come out next year, it could be just an absolute miracle of a device if the cameras are optimized properly, if the main and the ultra-wide camera in particular are properly optimized. Are there smartphones that can provide you more, especially with the cameras? Yes, obviously. But then you also have to pay significantly more, like a fair bit more, as opposed to the OnePlus 12. So is that worth it? I personally don't think it is for most people, especially if you don't have a ridiculous amount of money to spend on your smartphones. This thing is a no-brainer. It's that simple. Well, with that said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, found this helpful. I'll be seeing you guys with more. Cheers.